Welcome back in to the Midtown Madness podcast with Peter Hale and Zach Miller. I'm Zach Miller, joined by Peter Hale. Pete, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing all right, Zach, all things considered. How about you, man?
I'm doing all right. I don't want to bring an energy that, it's weird. I'd like to be, somber, but at the same time, I know, I feel like Ford would be the kind of guy to be like, what the heck you doing? Like why start up the podcast like that? You know what I mean? So it's, obviously we're going to get into, the passing of Billiken assistant coach Ford Stuen, and friend to, besides being an assistant coach, he was, a friend to many people around the program. I consider him a friend. Obviously, I'll get into a couple stories, but just a very, very sad, um, you know, last month or so, for the Billiken community.
Yeah, I think his wife's first Instagram post was on the 13th of April. And so that's the first time that people really started to kind of catch on that something was up. And I know that was right around Easter or so. Um,
Yeah.
and it was clear that he was in the hospital and struggling, and that it was pretty serious. So it's been, I guess a full month since then, and things didn't get better for him, and there's no way to spin it as anything other than the worst news possible. He's 29 years old. He's newly married, baby son on the way in August, and it's just he's got a stepdaughter, and it's heartbreaking on every level. So much promise, and yeah, to not have many more is it's an awful tragedy, and it's hard for the program. It's hard for the whole community, and I feel so bad for his family and his wife and kids.
Yeah, I think that's really what stands out to me, because I mean, I feel like I'm a, so-called smart fan, or, connected to kind of everything, but that was one thing that really struck me, is that you found out later on that, um the Lucy, who is Courtney's daughter, was not actually Ford's daughter, which is really, it strikes me that, just you could see, in a lot of the posts leading up to, his passing, that, how much love he had for her specifically, and how well it seemed that he treated, Lucy. And I thought that really, truly is one of the lesser things that people have kind of brought up, that points out how good of a person he was and what kind of man he was.
As someone with two kids, man, I can tell you that's the best sign of you. I mean, you're right, of what a guy he was, because raising young kids is the hardest thing you can possibly do. Um, Raising my own kids it's the biggest challenge of my life, every single day. And for him to meet Courtney and start a relationship with her, and then take on being the primary man in her life, in her daughter's life, is just, it's such a huge way to step up. It's such a big ask for a person, and he looked like he was thrilled to do it. It seemed like they had just a really great relationship, and that to me is a real testament of what a guy he was. I mean, it's a hard thing to be a parent, and to step in and be a step parent like that is absolutely a big challenge.
Yeah, I want to talk just how quickly everything kind of happened. I mean, uh, it appeared that he was first hospitalized on Easter, if I have that correct, after complaining of stomach pain. He was not at the NIT, which I can't believe. I think that fact escaped everyone in Billiken Nation, which is really kind of wild. And then she posted the Instagram holding his hand. You said on what date again? I
It
mean,
was the 13th of April that she posted that.
yeah. And then by, I think I remember, and this may be going a little too inside baseball, but I mean, I got a message. I don't even remember who sent it to me. I just happened to be out and about, um, day drinking that day, unfortunately, so I don't remember much. But it was that he had a couple, weeks. I mean, it was broken down to weeks at that point. And I think it lasted a little bit longer than that. He fought a little bit longer than that. So, um, yeah, it went so quickly. I mean, he was out posting gender reveals. I mean, even a few a few weeks. But it's just it's
Yeah,
one of the
I
it's
mean, that was like February or March because they had said they were having a son and they had a name picked out for him and everything.
yeah
And
it blows my mind because I mean it's just one of those things that any day, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, how well you lived. Um, anything can kind of come and change your life forever. So it's
yeah, yeah, it's hard. There's no way to explain it. And by all accounts or by all indications, he was just a healthy 29-year-old guy. I mean, turned 29 in the hospital, unfortunately, in April. But yeah, there's no reason you ever would have thought, that something like this could happen. You see, people at that age just seem invincible. To
Mhm.
I know I felt like that in my 20s, and I was not a former college athlete or anything. I mean, there's no reason to think something so horrible would happen. But it is nice to see what a true outpouring of just love and affection and respect there was on social media and everywhere. Everybody from the coaching community to Marcus Smart from Oklahoma State,
Mhm.
who I know he had a relationship with. So he clearly had touched a lot of people's lives and knew a lot of people, and it was wonderful to see.
Yeah, he was it was really I think everybody came together and I think I'm sure that the family really did appreciate it. I mean, I mean, even on not only social media but Billikens websites, Billikens.com, everybody kind of rallied to donate whatever they could. But I mean, I think somebody even posted her baby registry, which is
Mhm.
kind of crazy that they found that. But yeah, I mean, the heart was behind it. So I mean, unbelievable. I struggled to even like pinpoint one or two because there were just so many.
Yeah, yeah, it was really amazing to see. And then finally Travis Ford sat down with Cusimano for about an 8-minute interview that they aired. And it
That
was
was hard to watch.
it was because it was a strange combination of like really touching, really heartfelt, but it was intense at the same time. I
Yep.
mean, Travis had a look that was just he was in disbelief, it looks like to me.
He looked exhausted. I mean, I've that guy has all the energy in the world for about everything, but he looked drained.
Yeah,
He looked
I mean,
drained.
somebody who's he used the phrase like a son a lot.
Yeah.
Ford did, because it is somebody who's just a little bit older than his own kids, but who was with him constantly. Who I mean, when would he have showed up at Oklahoma State? 10 years ago, and then played a full career there and followed Ford to SLU to start his coaching career on the ground level. They had been basically inseparable for the better part of a decade, for a full decade or more. Um, and just within the span of a month, that just
On.
is gone. It's there's no way to explain it. There's no way to take that in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was, man, I just, I think I just, it's hard, man. The guy Ford just got it. I mean, we can talk about, you know, we can talk about how great of a person he was, and look, he got it. in every aspect of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, he got it as a person, and I'll get into my stories about him, and then, but as a college basketball coach, everything he did seemed to be just he knew he just understood. He was so wise beyond his years.
Yeah. So when he initially shows up, I have a natural kind of skepticism,
Yep,
when I see a
agree.
like a 22-year-old who's that polished, like
Yeah.
the fitted suits, all the shoes, like obviously, you had talked to him before, and
Mm-hmm,
he's a shoe guy, and he's really into fashion, and
mm-hmm,
I kind of look at him and I'm like, who is this, like, this slick 22, 23-year-old kid?
mm-hmm.
He's the coach's nephew. Do I really trust? But pretty quickly you realize, like, it's
He's a
not
hustler.
just like, because a lot of
And I
guys who
mean that, and I mean that like not
yeah,
hustle. Yeah. I mean, he's
sure.
a hustler. He hustles.
Well, yeah, and a lot of guys sort of take on that slick, polished persona because they have nothing else to offer, so they're
Mhm.
just that shell. But then you realize, like, no, 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 no. He actually got it. He connected with people in a way that a lot of other people didn't, and that Ford, or Coach Ford, Travis Ford, would call out and say, like, he would learn from him, like the way that he could connect with players. Sometimes he'd have to take a step back and go, wow, he's really
The black
um,
jerseys.
yeah, he really yeah, that too. But that's actually a good point. You bring up the black jerseys and, like, some of their gear and stuff. Back when he's director of basketball operations, that's a level of attention to detail that I think is
Mhm.
a really good attribute in a coach. A lot of coaches just, oh, wear whatever Nike gives us, who cares? But he was like, no, 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 no. Like, here's what they want. Here's what they should look like. Here's what they're going to feel good in, and it's those little value adds that you can have in a program
Mhm.
that goes so far. um, I think he brought a lot to the program in those little subtle ways, and
His
over time,
vision,
really, yeah, he really won me over, over time, and earned his promotion every bit. He was a heck of a rising star.
his vision is just it was off the charts as far as like, you know, he knew he just knew what he wanted and he went and got it.
Yeah, ambitious, but not a guy who would cut corners, because this is a
Right.
profession full of people who do that too. Like, there's a lot of guys out there who aren't necessarily playing by the rules, or who are trying to just rise up the ranks as fast as they can. But you got the sense, like, he actually wanted to learn. He actually wanted to build relationships, and that to me matters a lot more than that other stuff.
I want to move on to the memorial. I was there, and I want to apologize to Ford Stuen for I didn't even think to wear a suit. And I was not in a suit. I did have a polo on and jeans, but
I don't know if that would cut it for him, man. You
no,
got to
he'd be
start.
so pissed. No, yeah, no, it just I was out of town. I drove back. It didn't even cross my mind to grab my suit. But I felt very underdressed. So I hid up in the second level and tried to stay out of sight. But yeah, you caught a little bit of it. What? Give me some of your key moments.
Yeah, I watched segments of it, pieces of it, especially when somebody I recognized was talking about, and so I caught, like, Phil Forte, who used to be on staff at SLU and is now down at Sam Houston State, was at Oklahoma State at the same time as him. Coach Tate, who brought the whole team up behind him when he was
Mm-hmm.
speaking, and then Travis Ford too, who gave a really nice, complete, serious memorial speech to him. I mean, there were a lot of consistent themes throughout, some great anecdotes, and I was, really impressed by what people had to say about him, and it just reinforced everything that we had started to hear about him. That he really was, more than meets the eye. He was a really special person. So yeah, that was really touching to watch.
Yeah, I really enjoyed kind of off of the Billiken sect. I enjoyed the gentleman who spoke after Phil. I thought he was really, really good. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed his stories because it was kind of outside of things that I knew. You know, obviously, I had an idea of his family. You know what I mean? I didn't know this, know of this guy. So that to me was really interesting. I thought obviously the players did really well. Uh, I almost said Jack Revoyne, but it's Gibson, Jimerson, and Fred Thatch. I thought they did an outstanding job.
Mhm.
I thought the memorial was really well put on by I don't know who organized it and who set up everything, but I thought it was beautiful and just really nice. So well done from the St. Louis athletic department on that.
Did they have a pretty good attendance for it as well?
It the attendance was probably similar to like remember Majerus like the preseason, not necessarily midnight madnesses, but like the preseason, like the first practice or whatever they do.
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
one of those things, but
Okay.
it didn't recognize it was very it felt like there was not so many Billiken like
Mhm.
fans. I don't know. It just didn't seem to more, coaches and people from Oklahoma State and people from Oklahoma and people that knew him personally, not necessarily fans. I didn't really get a good look. It was pretty dark in there actually, except for the light on the memorial, like the podium and everything. So
Right.
yeah, I thought it was well put on, and I think they did a great job.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just
So
yeah, go on.
I give all my observations as someone who didn't really, who I've never really interacted with him. I didn't know him personally, but I guess you did a little bit.
Yeah, so my first I the first time I met Ford was gosh, I'm trying to remember. I was at a practice and I think I met it was the same day I met Michael Wilson. Um I mean, again, couldn't be more nice, very welcoming. And then, I brought my mom to a game back in February, right in I think 2019, February 2020 or 29. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And he was super great. I introduced him to my mom. Unbelievable, unbelievably welcoming again. But actually, the one thing that was insane to me is that when I was doing the house that Rick built, he reached out to us and asked via direct message, said, "Hey," I think the message was something like, "Hey, caught the Biancardi interview, really enjoyed it. Would you like me to come on the podcast and talk?" And I think Colin and I looked at each other like, "What the hell is
Yeah,
this?
that never happens.
Like, who does like?"
Right.
I like we've had to like run people down to get them on the
Yeah.
podcast, and an assistant coach. And it's I don't think it's any secret that like it's not easy for myself to get active coaches on the show. Like there's a mild stigma. Yeah, there's a mild stigma um against, I guess the shows that I put on. I don't know, me myself personally, it doesn't matter. But it's not easy for us to pull in um you know, current coaches. So of course we jumped at it, and I mean, the guy Ford came on and talked for 2 hours.
Yeah.
He
You sure did.
indulged a couple of chuckleheads for 2 hours.
I
I
think it was
mean,
about 8 questions.
yeah, it was a Majerus level interview. I mean, you ask one question, and dude, he couldn't have been more gracious with his time in that way.
Yeah.
but if you recall, my second biggest interaction with him, and I think one of the coolest things anyone's ever done for me. And I don't want to disparage anybody who's done something for me and I can't remember. So I apologize to anybody who I've forgotten. Um, but so I joke around. I joke around a lot on Twitter. I try to say funny Billiken things. That's what I do. And I tweeted out when they started letting fans in for the Dayton game at Chaffetz. I just tweeted out in the morning, I'm not proud of the things I would do to get inside the arena tonight. I didn't tag anybody. I just said it because I thought it was funny. Like, because, it's like, yeah. Anyway, so at 1:30 p.m., I get a text message from Fort Stuen as like, hey, big dog, got you 2 tickets for tonight. And I just, I mean, I was just like overwhelmed. I just could not believe that obviously he saw that and thought well enough to do it. And I mean, look, it's one thing to say that he did it to get atmosphere in the arena, and that's fine because I bring a loud mouth. I do. But he did, and I know that he did that because he knew how much it would mean to me to be in that arena and how much like I would appreciate it. And it wasn't a popular decision from him, like among certain people. And
Yeah,
so he took that, that kind of I won't say backlash because I mean, what are you going to backlash against the assistant? Like there was, maybe a little kind of looking down upon him doing that, I guess. And he was the kind of guy that would do things like that. Not for, he didn't tell anybody. He didn't the only people that knew were people that I told. So
right.
he did it because he wanted to see somebody. He wanted somebody to he knew who would appreciate being at the game. So
Yeah,
I mean, I owe him. I still have the ticket, right? Oh. I mean, I'll keep that now for forever. I mean, that ticket's going nowhere. Um, yeah, and I appreciate him. You know, I guess putting faith in me to cover to not to not mess around on a podcast and make him look bad and him trusting me to have his tickets to a game when he could have given them to you know Courtney or could have given tickets to anybody and it was so
yeah, that's
I
pretty
just
cool.
I just it's it sucks
Yeah,
because I mean that's a he made everybody feel like they were like they made everybody feel like a friend. I mean it's kind of cliche when you like talk about people, but I mean just go back and read Carter Chapley's article. I mean, geez, like he just treated everybody. I mean, there people talk about like living by and I don't want to get too religious on it, but living by like the golden rule, God, like treat others the way you like, like 10 commandments. Shit, like this dude lived it. Like, it's unbelievable. So,
yeah,
yeah, Earth lost a great human being. So it's I don't know. I'm rambling at this
yeah.
point.
No, it's hard to find the right words to say in this kind of thing.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I tweeted out I needed to sit with it, and I still don't think I've sat with it long enough.
but yeah, I don't know
Um,
what will be the right amount of time. It's
yeah,
hard.
it's a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of things too. It's especially when it's somebody your age that it's anything can take you at any time.
Yeah, it's hard.
But
It's really hard, man.
yeah, um, I guess I like there are certain people out there that have tried to shift the conversation to, um, what's going to happen with the staff now. I don't want to. I would like to not speculate on how they're going to move forward. Well, I don't know how to phrase this because I think you understand. Can you kind of explain
Yeah,
what I'm trying to
because
avoid?
a college basketball program is not, they play from November to the end of March or early April if they're lucky. But a college basketball program is an ongoing thing. It never stops. It's a 12-month thing. So right now you have a lot of fans of a program that is completely on pause because of an unspeakable tragedy,
Correct.
and people are shocked by this, cannot believe what happened, and naturally their mind goes to what does that mean for the program that I love. And I think that's okay,
Hmm.
as long as there's a sensitivity to the fact that, hey, this was a human being who was very important to the lives of the other human beings in this program. Um, and I don't think it's necessarily a something that I like to do or think is appropriate to get into what are we going to do now. But the way that I think about this is what did he mean to the program?
Hmm.
And, we talked about his attention to detail. We talked about his ability to build relationships and how his getting this job and his getting promoted, it wasn't nepotism because he's Coach Ford's nephew. I mean, sure, that's his foot in the door, but you got to earn your stripes after that. And he did, because one thing that he did great, he was a really heck of a recruiter. There are guys on our roster now who he's the primary coach responsible for bringing them in, which is a lot to say for someone who just turned 29. I mean, um, recruiting is not just who can you bring in right when you get hired, who can you bring in right away. It's a long process of making inroads, of building trust, of building relationships. And when he was promoted to a recruiting assistant, you saw us really starting to recruit places like Texas and Oklahoma and Florida, and places we really hadn't been in a whole lot. More in Kentucky. I mean, Travis is obviously from Kentucky, but strengthening the relationships there, and then places like Tennessee. So places that he was familiar with, had relationships with, and was really getting out there and getting Slu's name in front of recruits, getting offers out. Um, so as someone who tracks recruiting, I was really seeing the work that he was doing. And that's just not something that can be replaced overnight with a new hire. And so no, I have no idea what the program is going to do next, and I leave it up to them to move at their own pace, to do what they feel is appropriate. Um, Look, I mean, if they do nothing for a while, it's fine. We're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. They've said scheduling, recruiting, things like that are on pause for now, and that's okay. We've got a great team coming in next year. We're going to be all right. So no, I don't want to speculate on how they're going to replace him. I just kind of want people to realize how much work this guy did and how much he meant to this program. That's a lot for a young up and coming assistant. It's a lot to replace, and I want people to understand that, but also to be patient and respectful and know that they're going to do the right thing, because it's a really cohesive program with a lot of good people running it.
Yeah, I got nothing to add, man. That was perfect. Thank you. I am, my delicacy is not up to par, so I needed your help there. So that's big.
Well, hopefully that kind of gives people a complete picture of who this guy was and what he meant.
Yeah.
Starting with our first impressions of him all the way through what he did for the program every day.
Yeah, it's it makes me nervous, honestly. because I see what he did as far as a culture of attention to detail, when it comes to the little things, the things that I look at, the things that I hold important. Obviously, I love um, watching good basketball and watching winning basketball, but I'm a gear whore. I may not be as fashionable as Ford, but I love seeing you know, what new uniforms we're putting out, what these guys are wearing in warm-ups, what these guys are rocking, day to day on Instagram. I find all that stuff just incredible. And, I'm always hounding on eBay for old gear. So like the, his attention to that detail, um, really was something that I kind of appreciated. So that's what makes me nervous, and I hope this program will carry forward that kind of that detail in that section of the
Absolutely. Yeah.
program.
I mean, a person can be remembered in a lot of different ways. And that's certainly one that he would have appreciated.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I think we gotta kind of talk about some Billiken news and other aspects of the department. Um, One of the interesting things that has come out lately is Hargrove playing in uh, some pickup games out on the blacktop. Not something we've seen. I don't think I can't recall ever. But I mean, again, we never had gyms closed down. So I mean, I guess, things are trending toward normal, but they're out and about playing pickup ball on the blacktop. Makes me a little nervous, but it's fun to watch these guys have, stretch their legs and have some fun.
Yeah, and yeah, stay in playing shape and get some good competition out there. I know, seen guys like Mario McKinney and Nick Kern and a lot of other good local players getting out there and running with them too. The highlights have been fun too. People should follow Hargrove on Instagram. There's a lot of good highlights to be seen from these.
That, and he's just a silly cat.
He's got a big personality. And honestly, speaking of big, he looks like he's added like muscle in the off season already. I mean, dude, he looks really big right
They're like, dude, you got to play the four, bulk up.
now. That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think he could in the A10.
Uh,
Uh, so yeah, that's great to see. That's been really fun to watch.
a big congratulations though goes out to Fred Thatch, and you mentioned one of the coaches.
Yeah, Christian Nunez too.
Yeah, yeah, Fred Thatch, Christian Nunez, both graduated alongside Hassan French and Jordan Goodwin. So congratulations to all four of those guys. I mean, uh, I know how hard it was to graduate from SLU, so I can't imagine doing it while playing basketball.
Josh Hightower too. Can't forget our walk-ons. But yeah,
Yeah,
they all graduated on time, and Nunez got a master's, which is great to see. He's director of player development, which is kind of a, I guess, historically what I would have thought of as a grad assistant role. But and then Thatch getting it done, a marketing degree that took me 4 years. He did it in three. So my hat's off to him for sure.
my communication degree took me 5. What's up?
Well, hey, that was a master's too, right?
We'll go with that. We'll go with that story.
No,
Uh,
congrats to all those guys.
yes, yes.
We love to see that.
Women's soccer continues to pile up the accolades. My goodness. The United Soccer coaches released their regional teams. I don't really understand that we're in the All East region, or we're in the East region, but we are. Um, but the Billikens had 5 players among the first and second teams. Brianna Halverson, Hannah Friedrich, and Abby Miller are all made the first team. Second team, Hannah Larson and Emily Piriselli landed on the second team. Surprised to see Piriselli on the second team. I thought she would have been first, but I'm guessing the goalkeeper on the first team was not a freshman.
No, yeah, that would be my guess as well, without having the whole team right here in front of me. But what do all five of these players have in common aside from the fact that they're on the same SLU team? They're all going to be back next season.
Yeah.
So we've got a senior, a junior, and a sophomore on the first team. Senior Bree Halverson's coming back for her COVID bonus year. Second team, they're both freshmen. I feel sorry for everybody that play next season because
Ah,
this team's going to be really, really good.
I texted the West Pine Bills one night, and I said when the Billikens were head of the NCAA tournament, I said, do you think all the A10 schools will root for the Billikens like they did for the UMass hockey team, since it's apparent that A10 schools also don't play women's soccer?
Yeah,
Uh,
they might. I mean, I bet they do. I bet they do.
yeah, no, they don't. They hate us. They hate. I can't. I got it. I can't even imagine coming back and playing us again.
Yeah, it would be hard for a team like Dayton, who played them 4 times this year, to root for them. But yeah, they're all going to have to do it again next year, and hopefully it's a full normal
I
season too.
Yeah, I think that's where we're trending, at least, which is good to see. The coaching staff, the East Region Coaching Staff of the Year, and I mean, it had to be a like unanimous decision in my book. They will advance to National Staff of the Year consideration. I like their chances to get, to land in the top five. Unfortunately, they didn't win their NCAA tournament game, which may hamper it. I mean, obviously they'll probably go with somebody that made Elite Eight or better, but I definitely think that they should be recognized within the top five staffs nationally.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all about performance versus expectations in the preseason when it comes to these kind of awards. And we said it before. There's no shortage of outpouring of love for this team from us, but they're ahead of schedule basically, and they outperformed everything that we thought they would do this year. I think they were probably 1 or 2 wins away from really being a threat to win the national staff of the year award. But this recognition in and of itself is a big deal. So may we retain them as long as we possibly can at SLU, and really hope some big things start coming from this, because they've been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think before we move on to men's soccer and beyond, I want to just kind of reflect and send our appreciation to Katie Shields. Um, Obviously, she didn't have to come on and talk to us for what, an hour and a half. Again, I talk about time and how gracious everyone has been with this. Like, I mean, we put a lot of stock in this podcast, but at the end of the day, like, it's a podcast, and I mean, who, like, I feel crazy that people listen. So I want to thank her again for coming on and being so gracious with her time and being so forthright with any and all answers she had for us.
Yeah, she was so impressive, and it definitely felt like a challenge for me to because her answers were so strong and concise and clear, and also colorful at the same time. And you want to ask just the right question to keep getting those kinds of answers out of her. But she also makes it a little bit easy on you too, because she does know how to get right to a point and make it so well. And so I see how she's able to get the most out of her players, and really inspire players, and then attract players to come play for her as well. She's incredibly impressive, and yeah, you're right. Couldn't be more gracious to give us a little bit of time too.
My favorite moment was when she, and I think I texted you this. My favorite moment is when she used the term bitch, like bitching, like she started swearing, and I'm like, we got her, we got her. She's we've we're having a conversation. We're not interviewing. Like,
Yeah.
that's when I know that things are going well, is when it starts being like a conversation between, acquaintances instead of a question and answer segment. So, yeah, no, she's really great, and I hope to get her on again once or twice. All things permitting. Men's soccer, who are apparently in the southeast region for whatever that's worth. They finished, or the United Soccer Coaches All Southeast Region teams were announced. Quist, Christian Buendia and Kip Keller made the second team. Uh, so, I mean, less accolades for the men, but they didn't, live up to the expectations, I think, this year. So,
Yeah, but they're they're another team. They're not necessarily behind schedule either. They've made some progress as a program, and we'll see
correct.
them start chipping away. I mean, we just saw Marshall win the national title in men's soccer
Good
over the
Lord.
weekend. That just kind of goes to show you how blown open
It
that
finally is
the
blown
sport has
open.
become.
Yeah.
It's completely blown open. You look, Akron won about a decade ago. UC Santa Barbara has won in the past couple decades. There, you just the sport has evolved really quickly, and it will continue to do so. And there's no reason this program can't get back in the mix of the perennial top 25.
And I think that also is a reason to remind fans that they're not going to go back every year. They're not. This isn't the 70s. It's not. There's not like 10 teams anymore that do it every year. So, patience. It's becoming more of a basketball type parody among soccer. So, just be patient with Kalish, and I think Kalish will get us back within striking distance of a national championship at some point in the next 10 years.
Yep, agreed.
Um, Softball. And thanks to you for bringing this to my attention, because I just completely kind of, no offense, tuned out to softball and baseball. They've had not good seasons. But the season is over. A couple of cancellations at Dayton. They finished with 19-27 record, 10-12 in the league. Uh, Tournament finished. GW got the auto bid. They dominated the A10. They are the SLU women's soccer team of softball. 23-1 A10, 36-9 overall. They will go into the Baton Rouge regional. Overall 7th seed. LSU is in that region. Louisiana and McNeese State. Um, First team, Billikens on the first team, Gabby Kowalik and Kat Lane. Um, Sadie Wise made the second team. Gabby Kowalik, was that the no hitter? That wasn't the no hit pitcher, was it?
No, I'm actually blanking on who threw the no hitter.
I can tell you
Uh,
who threw the last no hitter before her. That's was
I know you
Nicole
can.
Bonensteel. Yeah, wild. Yeah, just not a. I mean, softball just kind of is average every couple of years. Sometimes a lot of big years. I went on a totally well, semi off topic, totally off the radar as far as like what we're about like now. But I went on a deep dive into the softball archives, and I found one of the most atrocious seasons I think I've ever seen. And I'm trying to pull it up really, really quickly
Huh.
because it is absurd. Um, it was like in the 80s. And I mean, it was absolutely, it just blew my mind that they didn't like implode the program after this season. Here it is. It was 1995. Head coach Denise Swanger. The team went. You ready for this one? Ready? You sitting down over there?
So I guess so.
1-45.
Wow. Who is the one?
Lock Haven.
Wow. Okay.
Um, bit some big losses to 19-1 loss to UNC Asheville, 10-1 loss to Valparaiso, 15-0 Creighton. They lost to Kansas City twice. That's really bad. They lost 23-0 to Missouri and then followed that up with an 18-0 loss at Southern Illinois. 14-0 loss at Missouri versus Missouri State, followed up by a 14-1 loss at Southeast Missouri State. 16-1 loss to Missouri S&T.
Yeah, that's Rala.
Yeah,
Yeah.
16-0, 16-0 loss at DePaul. And then I don't even know, I've never even heard of UW Parkside, but they lost their final game in that season to UW Parkside 13-0.
So a lot of lower division losses, and I'm assuming, given that these are double-digit shutouts, these are mostly mercy rules too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to even show up for that.
I mean, like they they followed up 97 1-39 with the only win coming to Keene State. I have no idea. I have never heard of Keene State.
Well,
Just bizarre.
before we move on from softball, I got it. Chloe Wendling was the one who
Thank
pitched the
you.
perfect game. So
Thank you.
there was that one.
It's just it was. I love doing a deep dive into like just seriously old results. It's fascinating because it really shows how little kind of that was cared. Because I mean, you look at Denise Swanger in 94 went 2-38. Next year, 1-45. Then went 6-45 in 96 and still coached and then finally was let go in 96. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I think people don't realize how far this athletic program has come in a very short amount of time.
That's
There
true.
was the non-basketball sports, I guess non-soccer too, had virtually no resources whatsoever, and they still have
None.
a long way to go. But we've come a long way. I'll say that much.
Yeah, it's weird. It's crazy. I'm happy that we live in this time, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't following. I wasn't doing a podcast in 94. I'd have some hot takes. Baseball. Um, this is. I feel like this is my most disappointing this season. They probably disappointed me the most. They wrapped up their season 16-28. They'll finish up with, or sorry, they're 16-28, 5-7 in the A10. They're gonna wrap up their season with Davidson. EIU was canceled due to COVID within EIU, and SLU will not make the abbreviated A10 tournament.
Yeah, I know it was kind of a messy season and a shortened season, and they split the A10 into two divisions. And but baseball was picked to be, I think, fourth or fifth in the conference preseason. So not they were down a little bit because they have won the conference before, but I think they were at least expected to kind of compete even in the shortened or the abbreviated, whatever you want to call it, A10 tournament. They were at least supposed to threaten for a spot in that, and they never really did. But I think kind of softball and baseball both had similar seasons. They got off to slow starts, rough starts, and never really got into a rhythm for the season. I think both kind of struggled with pitching a little bit. Caught up with them, and hopefully next year in a normal year they can kind of get back on track.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Feels like there's a lot of turnover every couple of years where players leave under Hendo, but I'll be interested to see where this goes, and I'm interested to see what happens with volleyball. I obviously don't think, I think they're going to retain Kent Miller. I don't know his contract. I'm assuming that they're not going to buy him out of that contract, even if he's, going winless. They'll just let it kind of run out. So, which I get, but as a former member of the program in whatever stupid way I was, I have a little skin in the game, I guess. So, yeah, I think that's any other notes before we
No, I think no, I think the bottom line for me in this is go read some of the memorials for Ford Stuen, and if you have time, check out the YouTube video of his memorial, or at least go to check out some of the players or coaches or people you might know, or just parts you might want to watch. But yeah, it's a big loss for the program, and so I just hope his memory lives on, and that everyone is able to pay their respects, and we're gonna miss him.
Yeah, a couple notes before that I just thought of. First, Michael Rozier did an excellent job moderating, not moderating, but leading the memorial. Sorry. And also to Ford Stewin, I tried iced coffee, and I'm sorry, I just can't. I'm gonna stick to my Red Bull. That's clearly doing terrible things to my health. But yeah, that's all about all I got. So yeah, thanks again for listening, everybody. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, and try to live your life like Ford's doing, and go Bills.
Thanks, everybody.